Rennick.
Thanks, Deputy Chair. And I rise today to support Senator Canavan's motion, matter of public importance on Labor's heavy-handed market interventions, destructive industrial relation changes and secretive EPBC reforms are creating massive uncertainty in energy markets that Australians will pay through higher prices and loss of industrial jobs. Loss of industrial jobs. And this, of course, Labor's environmental policies and energy policies are the four-step shuffle. The fourth step of the four-step shuffle throughout their time in government, because this crisis has been decades in the making. And it started in the 80s under the Hawke-Keating government with the Button Plan, where the former Labor Senator John Button had this great idea that we would rationalise manufacturing, and by doing that he let manufacturing go offshore. And those jobs, of course, were replaced by the university sector that was heavily subsidised by the Australian taxpayer through this process known as HECS, where our young children were given loans like a loan shark, whereby loans were lent to our young children, and they were promised that somehow if they went to university they'd come out and get this high-paying job at the end of it. And then the next step along the line was superannuation, whereby, it started off at 2% in 1992, but then it's gradually risen to 12%. And then the final step, of course, was this renewable energy target and the mandating of net zero, which is actually seeing our base load energy, which I might add, when I finished school in the late 80s, Queensland had the lowest energy prices in the world on the back of cheap, reliable, coal-powered energy. As a result of Sir Joe Bjelke-Petersen building coal-powered fire stations, plonking them down on coal mines that were owned by the Queensland people. So the Queensland people didn't have to buy those buy the coal on the market. All they had to do was dig it up and burn it. And that coal was exported through to other states as well. But that cheap and reliable energy powered our manufacturing sector, helped power our manufacturing sector, helped power our mining sector as well. And that mining sector, for a very long time, for 2 decades, coal was Australia's biggest export. And that is what powered this country. But what we are seeing now, as a result of these green policies designed, ostentatiously to actually protect the environment, they're actually destroying the environment as well, and I've spoken about that many times before, but they're also going to destroy the economy. Why? Because renewables are much more expensive. They have a shorter operating life. You're lucky to get 20 years out of solar panels and wind turbines. In fact, many wind turbines are lucky to last a few years. They cost a fortune to build. Then you have to build transmission lines, a lot more transmission lines, because rather than, say, having 20 coal-fired power stations down the east coast, you've now got hundreds and hundreds of smaller energy generators, and then you've got to have actually batteries to back up all of this energy, because, as we know, the sun doesn't shine 24 hours a day. And then, of course, we don't even talk about the whole recycling process. So that's another environmental disaster waiting to occur. But all of this costs money, and all of this drives up the cost of electricity. And not only is it the cost of renewables, it's the cost of the subsidies for renewables. Now, in order to continue the illusion that Labor love to push that renewables are cheaper, they are not cheaper. They are only regulated through the renewable energy target that mandates that renewable energy has 33 terawatts of renewable energy has to be sold throughout the year. So 33 terawatts is about 23% of our energy network. And, of course, when you've only got the sun shining 6 or 7 hours a day on a good day throughout winter, and if you have a few overcast days, on average you'd be lucky to get the sun shining 25% of the time throughout the year. It means that when the sun does shine, you've got to sell all that solar power at that time. And because there's an oversupply for 6 hours of the day, that solar is sold at a loss, and then those costs have to be recouped through the coal-powered fire stations at night. That, again, is driving up the cost of energy. And when you drive up the cost of energy, you drive up the cost of manufacturing. It makes manufacturing more expensive in this country, and it sends manufacturing jobs offshore. So I urge you today to support this motion.
Authorised G. Rennick, LNP Chermside.